Well, this is the last thing President Obama needs. Reverend Jeremiah Wright, the president's bombastic former pastor, is letting loose again in an unfiltered and explosive interview with the Daily Press of Newport News, a newspaper in Virginia.
Did you vote for Barack Obama?
Of course I voted for him.
How do you feel about
My son, I'm proud of him. I got five biological kids, and they all make mistakes and bad choices. I don't stop loving none of them. He made bad mistakes. He made bad choices. I got kids who listen to their friends. He listened to those around him. He made a mistake. I did not disown him.
Right. Have you spoken with him since he's been in the White House?
He usually let him talk to me. I told my baby daughter, I said, he'll talk to me 5 years from now when he's laid up. For 8 years when he's out of office.
David Squires is a columnist for the Daily Press of Newport News and did that interview. David, you know, it's hard to understand how this man, why he says, what's your thought about your interview with him?
You said, what is my thought?
Yeah, I mean, like, the things he says, they're just so over the top. And I mean, he's critical of the president. What do you think about him?
Well, Jeremiah Wright is a very outspoken person. He's not a shy individual. He's a very smart man. He actually is a very kind and gentle man, very friendly person, and a very proud man. And he was speaking his mind. And the first question I asked him was, did he have any regrets? And before I could finish the question, absolutely none. And he went on and on. So obviously he has been affected by this experience.
Well, it's hard for me to have that sort of sense of he's a kind and gentle man, as you say, when one of the statements he says to you, them Jews aren't going to let him talk to me. I mean, it doesn't sound like, I mean, it sounds like anti-Semitism. If we put any other word in it to me, whether it's women or any other sort of, reference, it does not sound like a man who has this sort of open heart. It sounds like a man who has hate in his heart. If he thinks like the Jews are standing in his way.
Well, when he came to the arena, the Convocation Center at Hampton University, he was very kind to people who approached him, and as he left, he was very kind and gentle to people who approached him. He talked to them, and I had a local minister, Reverend Alexander Jameson, make an introduction for me to get to interview him, and I was shocked that I was even allowed to interview him, that he actually agreed to do the interview. And as a reporter, I don't take sides. I don't try to analyze what people are saying. I have my recorder going.
So you don't support him. You don't support his. So I take it that that you're not impressed with him when he makes those anti-Semitic remarks. I take it you're not impressed with him.
I'm not impressed with anybody making anti-Semitic remarks, but I was impressed when I went to his church. I moved to Newport News from Chicago about 5 years ago, and I went to hear the Reverend Jeremiah Wright preach. He is a heck of a minister. That man can preach flat out.
I guess for me, it's like when I heard those tapes, he's saying that GD America. I mean, I saw him, and I did civil rights work for years as a lawyer. I mean, like $10,000 or $12,000 a year, and I wanted to do it every single minute. It's very hard for me to think that this is such a great man when I hear this hate spewed at him, and now he's even trying to poke a stick in the president's eyes as the president's trying to resolve things in the Middle East.
Well, I'm a big fan of our president and what he's trying to do. Unlike our friend Rush Limbaugh.
Are you a big fan of Reverend Jeremiah Wright? I guess I should ask.
I wouldn't say big fan, but he can preach, and I like his sermons.
Well, I guess.
And I've only heard one. I've only heard one, and I wouldn't mind hearing more.
Well, he's got they're all on DVD. You can buy them, and boy, I tell you, you can hear an earful. He and, of course, Reverend Flagler, the two are very busy out in Chicago, trying to say everything incendiary, not trying to make things better, but trying to stir people up and trying to generate, at least in my opinion, a lot of hate that we don't need. But David, thank you. You got the interview we all want. So thank you very much. I tip my hat. You got the interview. Thank you, David.
Thank you for having me.
Up next, 24 hours ago, she got the pink slip, and she was fired. Miss California fired. And the new Miss California, they're both going to be here back to back. Carrie Prejean talks about being stripped of her crown. Then a replacement, the new Miss California, goes on the record. That's next. Plus.